Hey, welcome back everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome to part 2 of the Android Studio tutorial series for 2020. In the last tutorial, or in the first part, we put this button on the screen and we learned how to run it in an emulator. If I hit the emulator button, it'll open up the emulator, and here is our app. Take a second and it'll open up. So right now, say we want to add a product to our inventory. We can hit this button, but it doesn't do anything. So what I want to do in this tutorial is I want to actually create a new screen. So when you click on this, it'll take you to a new screen. We'll at least get started on that. So like right now, it doesn't, click on it, it does not do anything. So let's fix that. So ideally, when we hit this button, it'll go to a new screen where we can add a product. Like I'm in my living room right now. Maybe I want to add my Pixel phone and a webcam and a USB stick. I'm gonna just get a list of products that are in my living room. And this could be used for anything. You can just use your imagination. It can be used for anything, literally, a list of anything. But in this case, let's open up. So I have Android Studio opened up. Let's go to App. And let's open up Res, or Resources, the first one there. And again, you're going to need to go to Android there. That should be set up by default, and then open up Project on the left. But you see these. So Layout, so we can click on there. And if we open up Content Main, that's this file right here. So let's go ahead and go up to Layout, and let's right-click and go to New. And there are all these different kind of files we can create. Let's create a new Layout resource file. And let's call it Add Product. Now for this screen, you don't want to use spaces. Actually, in fact, if I put a space, I think it gives me an error, yeah. So you can't put spaces. I'd name everything all lowercase, whatever screen you create it, at least for the XML layout that we're going to do, create it all lowercase. You can use underscores instead of spaces. And for the root element, let's go ahead and delete that. And let's start typing ConstraintLayout. And you'll notice it kind of auto-suggests some stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff we can do with ConstraintLayout. The one we want is that right there. So it's AndroidX.ConstraintLayout.widget.ConstraintLayout. That's the one we want. We're going to use ConstraintLayout, and we'll get to that more later. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And you won't get that, but I'll get that, so don't worry about that. And here's our screen. Now it's a new screen. Now we can kind of just in Android Studio, we can navigate between these two screens. So Content Main, that's where we have our button, and this is where we add a product. So just to get started really quickly, make sure you're in design mode, because there's also another way to do this. You could always go to text mode and type out the code, but that's kind of complicated and we don't need to do that right now. So just go to design mode. Again, we can switch between them. We can open up different files. So let's open up Add Product there, and let's look for an edit text. So on the left side, we have our palette, so we can open up text, and there's all kinds of stuff we can enter. And say we want to do, let's just do a plain text. So I'm going to click and drag. And you'll notice I can put it anywhere. I'll just kind of drag it near the center of the screen. It doesn't really matter. But because we're using something called ConstraintLayout, we need to actually kind of click and drag to position it somewhere. Like if I were to run it on the, actually it wouldn't run on the screen right yet. But what we need to do is we need to see how it has, in the last video we talked about these constraint points where it has the circles there. So just click, drag, and then let go, and then click, drag, and then let go. And then we'll just do one more time. So click, drag, and let go. And that kind of centers it in the middle. Now if yours doesn't look exactly like that, it's fine. And there's a lot we can do with ConstraintLayout over on the right side, over on our attributes. But for now, this will work. And this should look something kind of like that. Now if it doesn't, maybe make sure when you added your new layout, you did constraint layout there, make sure you did constraint layout. And if it doesn't look like that, you can kind of click and drag it around. We'll get into, I'm going to do Command Z right now, but and something important to note is you can always go back. So you can do edit, and then you can undo or redo. So undo that if I wanted to undo that. Now it puts it there, then I can do undo. So if you ever mess something up, you can always undo it. So that's good to know. So I'm going to go ahead and just, make it maybe in the top left. There we go. Now for this, say we want our product's name to go there. So on the right side, we'll just search for something. We'll search for text. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that. What we want is something called hint. So we'll do this product name. And you notice how it's a little bit grayed out there. Product name is grayed out. Once we run it in the app, once you start typing something, the product name will go away. So it's kind of like a hint. If I were to do text, I believe it would stay there, and I need to like click there and then do the backspace to delete it. And then I have to start typing it out again. So hint is what we want. Everything else looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and run this app, and let's just see what happens. It's good to run it a lot because that way if something goes wrong, you'll know what goes wrong easier. You know, if you spend 2 hours working on something, then you run it and it doesn't work, it's kind of hard to know what in that 2 hours didn't work. So now we open this up and it doesn't do anything. We don't see that screen, and when we click on there, it doesn't do anything. That's because we haven't actually created kind of like a link to it yet. So we have this content main screen, and that's what's driving or kind of using, that's what the screen is using. But we haven't actually done anything with our add product. So this tutorial might be a little bit long, but I'm going to let's try to get through this. And if you need help, ask a question in the YouTube comments, and if I have time, I'll try to help out. Just kind of describe your problem, and I'll try to answer. Or somebody else can jump in if you do finish this, see if somebody else needs help. So we have this screen here. So basically, this content main screen, this content main there, that's linked up to what's called an activity. An activity is another word for a screen in Android Studio. So when engineers talk about, oh, I'm going to create a new activity, they basically mean, yeah, I'm going to create a new screen. So this is only part of the screen. So this is the layout side of the screen, but there's also another side to the screen, and that's the Kotlin file. So let's do something. If we open up Java, and then we go to the first one there, and then again, your package name might be different. So instead of .com.example, when you set up this project, if you set it up to, you know, like my website is danielmalone.com. So if I were to set it up with danielmalone.com, it'd be called com.danielmalone. But just go ahead and click on the first folder inside of Java. And then double click on MainActivity, or rather main screen. So that's another way to read it. And all of this code looks kind of complicated. Don't worry about that. We won't mess with this right now, but it's important. Yeah, it's important to know that we need something kind of like this to actually link to our add product screen. So again, this is really complicated. None of this is really needed. I could delete a lot of this code and it'd work just fine. But let's create a new activity. So inside Java, Java, open up the first one, and then let's right click on there and go to new. And let's do new Kotlin file class. And let's call this add product activity. And it's kind of a practice to always name these with kind of like, you know, the first letter is capitalized. And we can't use spaces here. I think if I put a space, it won't work, or I don't think it'll work. So just call it like add product activity. Make the A capital, the P capital, the A capital, no spaces, just all one word. And let's change this to class. So we want to create a Kotlin class, and this will create a new Kotlin class for us. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and it opens it up immediately, and we see this file right here. And so now we have our main activity there, which is all of this code, but we also have this add product activity. And so this is going to be our screen. So again, to make this add product screen work, we need this layout file, which is right there. We need the XML or layout for this, which is this right here. Then we also need a Kotlin class. So that's this right here. So we need to add a little bit to this. So let's not get too hung up on what it means or like what all this stuff actually does. We'll get to that later, but I'll show you the important part. So right after add product activity, so I'm going to click right after there and write your first code. So write a colon, then put a space, then do let's do AppCompatActivity. And you'll notice as you start typing it, it kind of auto-completes for us. So it's kind of like Google Autocomplete, where you just start typing it and it automatically suggests something for you. So just type a little bit of it, don't finish it all the way, but see how it adds it right there. Double click on that, and then you'll notice it completes it for us, but it also adds another line up there. So don't worry about what that means. So let's do one more thing. So whenever you're working with code here and you see a red squiggly line underneath some text like you do there, like if you look right underneath AppCompatActivity, you'll notice it has that kind of red underline. It's kind of, it's right there. It means there's an error. So like if I put my mouse over there, you'll see, hey, it says this is a constraint. What we need to do is we need to type a couple more characters. So type those 2 characters, and that gets rid of the error. So this is a class, there are no errors, it's working, but we need to actually set it up to we need to link it to our add product layout file here. So I'm trying to make this not as confusing as possible, but yeah, if you need help or if you're confused, maybe watch this again or leave a question in the comments. So at the end of this line, so just right after the curly brace, let's make some space. So just put a bunch of enters. And one thing to note is you can put tons of enters. It doesn't really matter. When Android runs this on the app, it doesn't matter if they're 20 spaces or if they're 10 spaces. It doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and just create some space, but let's do this. So so after between that and that, between those 2 squiggly, between the 2 curly braces, start typing onCreate. And there are a couple, and again, it's autocomplete for us. So there's a lot we can, we don't have to type all this stuff out. Android Studio helps us out a lot. So look for the one that's called override, fun, onCreate. No, there are actually 2 of them. So, well, there are a lot of them, but there's one like onCreate description, onCreate view, but let's just do onCreate and do the one that has save instant state bundle. So not the one with persistent bundle, but look for one that just says onCreate and then saved instant state. And double click on that and you notice it writes a bunch of code for us. So that's something else we need. So we're almost done with this Kotlin class. So one thing we need to do is to actually make this Kotlin class, the add product activity, we need to actually say, hey, whenever we link to this Kotlin code here, I want to display this add product.xml file. So go back to add product activity and let's click at the end of that line right after that super onCreate. Let's go to there and do enter, and then let's do this setContentView. And again, it auto-completes for us, and let's just go ahead and do doesn't matter which one. Let's just do the layout res ID one. So setContentView resource or layout res ID. Let's double click on there. And now this is where we type out a file name. So this can be any file inside of there. It can be activity main, it can be add product, or it can be content main. In this case, we want add product. So anything inside of our layout file is fair game. So all we need to do is type r dot layout, and then we can just hit, another way to autocomplete is just to hit enter. So it says layout, I can hit enter and it does the rest of it. Then we put a dot, and then you'll see the first couple of examples here, or first couple of autocompletes. We have our activity main, add product, and content main. And you'll notice those are the same files that are there. So which one do we want to do? In this case, let's do our add product, because that's the one we want. So we have add product, and so this is done basically. We didn't have to write a lot of this code. We used autocomplete to do it for us, and that's going to help you out a lot in Android Studio. So your code should look pretty similar to this. So if it doesn't look exactly, it might still work. Like there might be tons of white space here is what it's called. Doesn't really matter. We can put tons of white space, like it'll run the same. I can put a bunch of enters there. I can put some enters there. Now it won't work if I put like an enter there, because actually it won't. But like there's some cases where like I'll try to put an enter there. That's not gonna work. So yeah, just I'm just showing you just for example. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, but just kind of similar. If it looks a little different, that's okay. We can put a white space at the end. It doesn't really matter. So this class is pretty much done. There's one more thing we need to do. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and this video is getting kind of long. So I'm just going to try to finish this up really quickly. So just to recap, we have our main activity, our main screen, but now we also just created a new screen called Add Product Activity, and it's called Add Product Activity there. And I'm not explaining what a lot of this does. I'll explain later in a future video, but it's important to note you can use Autocomplete to just do a lot of this. So we have setContentView, and we added Add Product, so this screen is basically done. Now we actually need to link from, so when we hit this button right there, what I want to do is I want to go to, this Add Product screen here. So that's what I want to do. So let's open up MainActivity, and to make things simple, I'm going to delete a lot of this code. So without explaining, I'm just going to select this. So look for the code that's fab on select or set on click listener. I'm going to go ahead and select it just like you would a Word document and just hit backspace. Then I'm going to select all of that there, and I'm going to delete it and just get rid of that. And you'll notice you should end with two of those, one right there and one right there. So it should look similar to this right here. Okay. So now let's go to our content main, and there's one thing we need to do. We need to give this button an ID that we can use. So I'm going to click on the button, and you'll notice on the right we have attributes there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up attributes. That's not opening up. What's going on? There we go. That's weird, huh? Didn't know what was going on. So with the button selected, let's call this button, we'll call this go to add product. And I'm going to hit enter. So now that button has an ID right there, ID of go to add product. Okay, so this is maybe a little bit confusing. If you need to rewatch the video, go back and watch it again. But if you're following along, good job. If you're not, just watch the video again or ask a question in the comments. So again, select the button and look for the ID there. So not just the ID and give it an ID of like go to, and don't put a space there. Make it all one word. Okay, now let's go to MainActivity and let's do this. So now we can start typing. So look for right after set support action toolbar. So right after there, just make some space and start typing go to add. And you'll notice it auto-completes for us. So go ahead and type a little bit, then hit enter, and that will finish it. So now we have access to our button. So now put a dot. So type a dot, and you'll notice immediately we have tons of stuff we can put. We can set our background. We can set, what can we do? There's all kinds of stuff we can do. But what we want to do is, just put a dot and then set on click listener. And you'll notice we have a couple of options. So look for the option so it should be set on click listener. And there are a couple of them, actually just two of them, because some are like set on context click listener, but we want just set on click listener, and do the one with the two brackets. So I'm going to double click that, and it should look like that. And if it doesn't, you can always manually type it out. And like I could type it out manually and do, it's just easier if you use autocomplete. But let's put our mouse inside of there, click and do enter. So what we're doing right here is we're saying, hey, every time somebody clicks on the button with the ID of go to product, so go to MainActivity, so every time we click on there, do all of this right here. So right now it doesn't do anything. So what we want it to do is you want it to go to our new screen or a new activity. So let's do this. Let's do start activity, and you'll notice we have a couple of them. Let's just hit the first one that takes an intent. So I'm going to double click on that, and inside of the parentheses, let's do this. Let's do intent. Let's put another parentheses. Actually, let's do this. Let's do intent And to actually do the import, what we're going to do is we're going to actually click on one of the, we're going to, like if I were to just type it out, it's going to give me an error that I need to import it. And I can do it that way. If it's red, you can just click on there and then on your mouse do Alt-Enter on Windows or Alt-Enter on Windows. So first click on there, click on the red, do Alt-Enter on a Mac, or sorry, Alt-Enter on a PC, Windows, or Option-Enter on a Mac, and it gives us some options to how to fix that. So the first one is import, and if it's not red, it's working just fine, but if it's red, do that. And inside of here, we need to put something. So let's do this. Let's do this. Actually, what we need to do is we need to do, yeah, it's not gonna, so let's just do this. Let's do this. So let's do this. I think that's what we need to do. So this. Then put a comma, then do add. So yeah, autocomplete, so just type, so put this comma, add product activity, and it'll autocomplete. So hit enter and that'll finish it out for us. Then put 2 colons, then do class.java, or it autocompletes for us there. So hit that. So I know this is a little bit complicated, so start activity, intent this, and we'll get over what this means in a future lesson. But for right now, I just want to finish up the lesson. We're going on like 21 minutes, so I kind of want to make this short. I kind of really want this to work, and we're really close to having it work. I think we really are. So, you know, go to add product button. Whenever that button is clicked, do all of this stuff right here. So it's kind of saying, hey, you know, start a new activity or screen. And what screen do we want to start? We need to pass it an intent, so you know we kind of have to just type that out. And we want it to go to our add product activity. And now you'll see package context right there. Don't actually type that out. That's something Android Studio just kind of puts in there for you. So don't type out package content. Just notice that Android Studio puts it there for you, just so you can kind of, we'll talk about that later. So hopefully this makes a little bit of sense at least. And if it doesn't, I'll explain what it does. Just go ahead and type all of that code out. Okay, so I'm going to save it. And now here's the real test. Let's go ahead and run it. So with my emulator, I'm going to go ahead and run the app. And let's wait a second. It says Gradle build is running at the bottom there. I know this video is getting kind of long. So here it is. So let's see if it works. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Add to Inventory. And you'll notice immediately the app crashes and it goes away. So as an Android engineer, you'll probably, you know, like when I'm working, the app crashes, you know, 10, 20 times every day. I don't know, maybe that's overkill, but like if I work an 8 or 9 hour day, it crashes a dozen times easy. But the important thing to know is how to debug it or how to figure out why it crashes. So yeah, I can open it up again and it's like Inventory Manager and, you know, it works fine, but when I click on there, it just crashes and, you know, it just keeps crashing. So what's going on? So what we need to do is I know what the problem is, but a way to kind of debug is to click on the bottom where it says logcat, click on that. And we can kind of make this a little bit bigger. And what we're going to do is we can select what phone we have, so that should be selected just fine. And I'm going to change this from verbose, I'm going to change it to error. So this is going to show us every error we have. So we can kind of scroll through here and see all this debugging stuff. I'm going to clear it by hitting the trash can icon, and that will clear it. So I'm going to go back to the emulator. I'm going to open that. I'm going to open it back up again, and I'm going to hit Add to Inventory, and it crashes. But you'll notice right when it crashes, it gave us a bunch of information about what the error is. And this is going to look really confusing, and it's not gonna, you know, you're going to have no idea what any of this means. Like, how could you possibly debug it? The good news is you only need to read about 1 or 2% of this. The important part is usually near the top. So see how it says all the at, you know, at that, like all this code there. The first part is, what's important is this right here. So unable to find activity class, and it kind of, you just kind of read this. have you declared the activity in your manifest? And so say you don't know what the error is, if you just kind of, copy some of this error, like I bet if I were to go to Google and I were to just paste in the error message there, we can just click on the first result and we can kind of see, some guy posted, hey, I have this, but I got an error, and he's like, well, how do you debug this, And this guy's like, hey, you need to add this to your activity or manifest. And this might look a little bit complicated, but that's kind of how you can debug it yourself if you get into an error you don't know. But in this case, I know what the error is. So I'm going to go ahead and just close that. So let's go back to our add product activity. And you'll notice if we put our mouse on top over the add product activity, we click on there once, it gives us an error. So just click there and then again do Alt Enter or Option Enter, and we can do add activity to manifest. So click there and that adds it to our manifest, and so that should be good. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to go ahead and run it one more time, and let's go back to the emulator and let's just see if this works. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and click on Add to Inventory, and boom, here's our new screen. So now we can type out, I want to add my, iPod. I don't even use an iPod anymore, but say I wanted to add my iPod there, I can type it out, or I can close the keyboard, I can go back, I can click on there. So now we're successfully going to a new screen. So hopefully you learned something, and I'm going to recap in just a second, then we'll go on to part 3 where we'll continue on this. But we actually successfully have our first screen, and we click on there, and boom, now it goes to our second screen. So it doesn't do a whole lot, but now we got our second screen going up. And you can do the same thing with mini screens. You can create 10 screens or whatever. So to recap, I'm just going to X everything here just to kind of show you what we did the past 26 wow minutes. This is getting long, sorry about that. So we went there and we created a new layout file, and we called it add product, and we dragged in an EditText, or we dragged in a plain text and we put it there. And then we created a new add product activity where we typed out AppCompatActivity, and we used Autocomplete to type out a lot of this code. But we typed out setContentView, and we added the add product class, or add product, which linked it to this layout file there. But that wasn't complete. We needed to add something to MainActivity. So if I were to open up MainActivity, we typed in we typed out go to add product. And the reason we did that is because if we go to MainActivity, if we select there, we gave it an ID of go to add to product. So we typed out that. Then we want to do, whenever somebody clicks on there, we want to start a new activity or start a new screen. And we just typed in some code we have to type out. And then the screen we want to go to is that add product activity class. So we typed all that out. And so all of that will happen every time we click on the button. So I go back, I click on the button, there it is. And at first it crashed, so we went to the logcat and we set it to error. And we figured out that we can just read a little bit of the code and we can Google it to figure it out. Or in this case, all we needed to do is add it to the manifest. So what we did is we clicked on add to product activity and we did Alt Enter or Option Enter, and there was an option to add it to the manifest. So we did that. That prevented it from crashing. And then now we could go back and forth between these two screens. This video is really long. Sorry about that. I'll make them shorter from now on. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll continue this in part 3. So leave a question in the YouTube comments if you have a question. I'll try to answer, or somebody else can answer. Or if you finish this successfully, go to the comments and see if somebody else needs help. Again, sorry for making this long. I'll see you in part 3.